Okay, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. Today what we're going to do is we're going to work on the front wheel bearings, getting the wheel cleaned up, axle and everything like that, and getting the bearings cleaned up, and try to get the fender on. I think there's another part that I have to put on before the fender. I'll have to look, but I'm pretty sure there's something that has to do with the front caliper that has to go on first before I can put the fender on. So the first thing we're going to do today, let me get some gloves on here, is we're going to clean these front wheel bearings. Now I looked, these are not Timken brand. These are probably Chinese. I can't find any markings on them except a part number that's on the front here, or the part number on the back here. So I had contacted Timken themselves to see if they had an equivalent bearing, because I'd really just like to use their bearings. I don't know anything about these. They look, I mean, if you look at these, they look fine. There's no scoring on them. There's no marks on them or anything like that. But so we're going to clean them. So I've got the bottom of a milk carton, gallon jug, and I got some mineral spirits, and we're going to clean this stuff off. Okay, so we'll pour some mineral spirits in here. Just kind of put these in there. See if we can let those, I'm going to let those soak for a little bit. Same thing with the seals. I'd like to get new bearings, but again, I didn't see anything really wrong with these. In fact, these don't have a whole lot of grease in them. So we'll clean that up a little bit. Same thing with these. Get these all cleaned out. You see it's starting to change color from, I don't know what kind of grease it had in there, but I don't know if this is going to melt these things or not. Shouldn't, but we'll get the old grease out of here, and I'll pick this up when I'm ready to take these out. Okay, so you can see the amount of junk that came out of those bearings. Not a whole lot, but enough that, you know, they needed to be repacked and cleaned out. So, all right, so we've got the bearings here. Now, when I looked these numbers up, these came back as like trailer bearings, trailer wheel bearings. I mean, I suppose they could be. They're not really that big for wheel bearings, but I'm still looking for the regular Timken bearings. But in the meantime, I'll get the wheel up here and we'll get these packed. Okay, so let's get these packed. I think everything is okay with these. So I got the axle spacer in here too, and we'll just start packing this. So one thing that I didn't check on that front end, I've got to check the dust cover on the bottom to make sure that it's flush, because the dust cover, I'm going to show you the kit for those stem bearings, because those stem bearings are not actually, you can't use the whole kit. You can't use the dust covers that come with it, because the Springer front end has a different setup than a conventional bike, so you can't use the dust covers that come with it. So you can put this on both. Like I said when I showed you in the other video, you can do these bearings both the top and bottom, but you're going to get most of the grease in if you go through the bottom. And I still might end up changing these out if I get it, because Timken never replied to me. I sent them an email and they didn't reply to me, so we'll see. Maybe I'll go down to one of the local shops with this number and tell them I want these same bearings, but I want a Timken bearing, a regular brand Timken, not a Chinese one. So we're going to put some oil and grease in the race over here. That's probably not on camera because my hands are all greasy and I don't want to move the camera. Okay, so I'll move the wheel over here, and you can see this. So here's one of the seals. So we've got the bearing in there. I'm gonna get some of that excess grease out, and then we'll put the seal in like that. And then I still have to kind of figure out the spacers on this, because this is not a stock wheel for the Springer. This is an aftermarket wheel. So we're going to have to figure out the spacers on this, and you can't do it the conventional way because the Springer front end doesn't have, you know, it has the caliper mount and everything that goes through the axle, through the wheel. Then you got the fender that has to go through the axle and all this other crap. So we're gonna have to try to figure that out. All right, so we'll flip this over. And I'll put the axle spacer in. Okay, so we'll get this bearing packed. So we've already got the axle spacer in there. All right, so we'll put some more down in here on the race. And we got that in there. And we have the other seal that goes like that. And one of this side I think goes like that too. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. And I think that goes like that. Then the other side, it's got a couple other things on the other side. I don't think that one goes there, but anyway, we'll figure it out. There's like 4 spacers that have to go in there. Today we're gonna be putting the fender on and working a little bit with the front wheel, trying to get the spacing right. I kind of fooled around with the wheel a little bit with the fender off to see if I could get the spacing the way I wanted it, but I think the fender has to go on, even though the fender supports are on the outside of the fork legs, so it probably shouldn't affect any of the spacing that's going on between the wheel and the front fork. That's been a big problem with this. I couldn't really figure out how the spacing goes. It seems like a lot of the spacing that came with it doesn't want to fit right. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm going to work with it a little bit. In the meantime, we'll do the fender. I've already taped off some of this stuff because you have to put the fender in at an angle. And I actually scratched the fender when I took it off because I forgot you had to do that. And I hit a couple bolts taking it off. So I got these all kind of taped up just so in case I hit them, it won't make a difference. And then I'll show you, how this fender is going on. Okay, so we got the fender down here, and what you have to kind of do is you got to put the right fork through the fender, and as you bring this up, you've got to turn it like that, and then it goes up. Let me turn the fork this way a little bit, and then I have there's only one bolt that actually goes in there, which is this one. There. And then there's a nut that goes on. And there's a pin that goes on, but we're not going to put that in yet. I just want to stabilize this for a minute. So we'll put that in. Okay, on this bolt, there's also a pin that goes through that. It's around here somewhere. I'll have to look for it. I think it's in the bag I have over there for this front end. But then we put this on. So I'll have to raise this up again because I actually lowered it so the tire would be even with the fender mounts here. So we've got to take this out. I'm going to have to find a way to clamp this. I don't think it'll go anywhere. Let me just look. it shouldn't go anywhere, but I'm going to clamp it anyway or get a bungee cord to fix it so it doesn't want to fall back and damage anything. So let me find a bungee cord around here. Okay, so I got the pin. So this pin goes in here so the fender doesn't go down. So let me pump this up a little bit, and I'll have to pump it up, but so I think I can take this off now while I got a chance. So I need to lower this a little bit. All right, so that might be it right there, although I don't know where this is supposed to go. So I haven't, this was on there too. I think it was on there, but it looks like doesn't look like it's quite centered on the fender. Plus I don't have it tightened down. So let me find the bolt. Okay, so it looks like it needs to go this way a little bit, because you can see here's the center line. It doesn't look like it's lined up correctly. It looks like here's the center line of the tire. So let me so if I do the center line here, it's about 3 inches from the edge, and it's 3 inches that way. Yeah, it's gotta go that way a little bit. So maybe this spacer here goes over there on this side, because I know the true test of this is when the caliper goes on here, to make sure that the caliper, because it bolts from the inside to so it doesn't hit the wheel. So it does look like it has to go that way. So we'll take it off and try it again. Okay, so I think I have figured out the spacing on this front wheel. I got it all back together now, so you can see, some of the spacing in here. Let me show you why the Springer is kind of difficult compared to conventional front ends. Okay, so if you look at this front end on the Sportster, you have the caliper mounting off the front fork, but you basically have 1, 2 spacers, and that's it. That's all you need for this bike. If you come over here, you've got 2 spacers between the caliper mounting bracket. You've got a spacer in here that has to push everything out so the caliper will clear. So you've got the reaction link here, you've got the caliper mount here, you've got another bracket here. So the caliper mounts, onto this bracket. So here's the 2 pins I was talking about that go in there to lock those in so they don't come out. But you've got another spacer in here, 2 in here. So you actually have there's 3 spacers there and 2 spacers there. So there's 5 spacers on this side. And on this side, there's 1 spacer, 2 spacers. Now, on this side, I'm not entirely sure, because I don't know if you can see that. Hold on a second. Okay, so if you see down in here, there's nothing covering up that seal. And I'm not positive that spacer that's there keeps that seal in. It's up against the bearing, but I don't know if that's going to keep that seal in. Now, as far as I can tell, the video that I shot when I took this front end apart, this side over here is correct. I'm not so sure about this side. In fact, you can see this is kind of at an angle. So this should actually be in a little bit more right here. Although the manual does call for 2 spacers here, there's no spacer over here. So I am going to take this wheel apart again later on, just to kind of go over it. I also want to put some Loctite on some of these nuts. And I want to, you know, put some anti-seize on the axle and check the bearings again and everything like that. So I'm going to have to look at this section here too for that. So in the meantime, the front end is done. Well, this part of the front end is done. I still have the handlebars to go on, the headlight and the spotlight mounting brackets. So okay, also if you look at this, you can see the center line of the tire, which is this right here, is pretty much in line with the center of the fender. It's about 3 1/4 inches on each side. So I know the tire's centered on this. And I'm not getting any kind of rubbing, you know, anywhere on any of this stuff. Of course, I don't have the pistons aren't engaged either that'll kind of push anything out, but we'll have to get the brake line hooked up and make sure that the caliper shouldn't move, but, well, it should move in, but for the most part, everything looks okay. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today. Next video, we'll tackle the rest of the front end handlebars and spotlights, and probably put the exhaust on and get moving to get this thing started up so I can get this off the lift. And then we're going to go over some of the things that are going to go on with the shovel. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.